watching The End Zone, sponsored by Lucky Star Casino.
Welcome to another edition of The End Zone, along with TJ Eckert. I am Colby Daniels. We have another big weekend of college football ahead. So many questions about both of the state schools. And TJ, the college football season has been unpredictable, if nothing else.
Unprecedented is the word we use to start the season, and we are trending that way in the wrong ways, right? With both OU and OSU, two really poor seasons up to this point. Some changes obviously being made in Norman. Remains to be seen what, if any, changes end up getting made in Stillwater. But yeah, it has not been the seasons we were expecting both of these teams to have, no doubt.
That's right. Jordan Evans is set to join us as we start talking about this Oklahoma football team that, as you mentioned, has made changes and is getting ready for a monster matchup against Ole Miss this weekend. Former Oklahoma linebacker Jordan Evans. Jordan, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good. I appreciate you guys having me. Hope you all are doing well as well.
Man, it's good. We are not enjoying watching this OU team right now. I don't know as an alum if you're enjoying it, but if from afar, anything that you've noticed with this Sooner team, specifically the offense that you've seen that's just been going wrong so far this year.
Am I wrong if I say everything?
No.
I mean, it's not to be disrespectful, but I mean injuries, inexperienced O-line play, inexperienced quarterback play, not establishing a run. So there's a lot of things that they're trying to mesh well. And, I point towards the injuries. When you have that many guys that are out, especially star power players that, can take a 5-yard route and make it 90, it makes it really hard. And then you're trying to figure out the quarterback situation. So, they have a lot of battles that they're facing with, and, hopefully they figure it out towards the end of the year.
Jordan, I'm kind of curious your take on how the OC change can impact this team. I mean, given all of those factors, maybe nobody could have done a great job with this offense through this point of the season, but can making that change sort of ignite some sort of fire, or how do you see, what Oklahoma might be able to capitalize on going forward?
Yeah, Latrell was in a tough situation, and I know you can defend both sides on whether he should have got fired or if he should have stayed. And, ultimately, regardless of who you have, it is offensive coordinator's job to put, a game plan out there to make us somewhat successful. And I don't think we scored a touchdown in I don't know how many quarters. And that's not very, common in Oklahoma football. And so, hopefully the guys get kind of, some fire lit up in them, and they're, upset, obviously, about Latrell being fired. At the same time, still excited about themselves, what they can do. And that I think Joe John is the one who's going to make the calls now, and maybe he'll come up with some schemes and stuff like that can help the offense put some points on the board.
A lot of people asking Jordan about the locker room and keeping it together. You've been in that locker room specifically, but in general, when one side of the ball is struggling like the offense has and the defense has really carried the weight, is there any splintering that can happen within a locker room such as that?
There can be, but in my opinion, that's immaturity. Defense has been playing very, very good. Right. But the last time I checked, the same jersey the defense puts on is the same jersey offense puts on. So there's one, and you don't down and bash and belittle your offense because you're still the same team. You still have a common goal, and you're still trying to win. So right now, defensively, we're going to do all we can to help and put our team in the best positions to win. And whenever offense starts meshing and coming along, then their team will be really good.
Obviously, at Oklahoma, for a long time, there's been an issue on the defensive side of the ball, right? And people have just begged for any sort of defense. You finally have a really good defense, and they're being let down by the offensive side of the football. In some ways, you think that they're probably, they feel the need to produce more or a certain pressure because of the lack of offensive production.
Yeah, the trade-off is like kind of a joke, like, what did it cost you to get the defense? It's cost us everything. Not really, but I think it's very, very. Are we good?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's very, very hard to develop, especially in the offense that we see in college ball. It's very hard to develop a sound and good defense. And so we've been able to establish that, and we know Brent Venables is going to keep that. So now getting the offense to come along is not going to be as difficult. And so, I maybe not have the high expectations of this season, first year in SEC, young guys, new people starting, but for what's to come, and you're already seeing the huge transition that OU defense is now compared to what we were, I think you can still be excited for what OU football is going to be.
What's the biggest difference you think, Jordan, from the defensive production this year to maybe years past? Is it simply a confidence thing? Is it a talent thing? Like where do you maybe put your finger on it the most?
Maybe it's just straight schematics. I mean, OU recruited well for many years on both sides of the ball. Yeah, definitely confidence, but all of the guys, BV's got them fired up. The guys are playing well. Guys are being developed. And so, from a whole schematic standpoint, those guys are out there portraying exactly what BV wants his defense to do. And, you're seeing it with the turnovers, you're seeing it with the sacks, you're seeing it with the, stopping the run game and things like that. So, it's just probably an overall schematic thing.
Before we let you go, I got to ask you, as a linebacker, what are your thoughts about Danny Stutzman and just the way that he has played this season? Obviously, moving spots at times, plays the middle, plays the weak. I mean, he's been all over the place and just a playmaker every single week. And the leadership, obviously, that he has displayed throughout the adversity that they faced has really, I think, been valuable to Brent Venables.
Yeah, no, Stutzman had an opportunity to leave last year. And he decided to come back this year, so he knew the role that he was going to play as a leader. He knew the role he was going to play as a playmaker. He knew the role that he was supposed to play as a versatile player. I mean, I see him starting on special teams. He starts on kickoff. He plays every position on defense, and they rotate quite a bit. So there's times where he's off the field, and being humble enough to allow your coach to do that it shows a lot on the character that he is. And then the production is high, and so I think he's taken the next step, not only as a player, but also as a leader, saying whatever needs to be done, I'll do it for the team. And I really do believe that a lot of guys around him are playing at a high level because he's carrying that room at such a high level. And, hopefully the season continues to go good for him and he has an opportunity to go do it at the next level.
Jordan, we certainly appreciate the time. We wish you the best of luck with whatever's next, but hopefully we'll be able to catch up again soon.
Thanks, Jordan.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Appreciate you guys having me.
That is former Oklahoma linebacker Jordan Evans joining us on this edition of The End Zone. Along with TJ Eckert, I am Colby Daniels. We will take a quick timeout. Gideon Hamilton getting set to join us as we evaluate OSU, the winless Big 12 Cowboys, next. All right, let's jump right into Oklahoma State and their Big 12 schedule. This was a year with very high expectations as Gideon Hamilton joins us from WWLS, the sports animal, also known as That Thunder Guy. So as the NBA season is officially underway, expectations were through the roof, right, for a team that returned so many starters.
Sure.
And after 3 weeks, things really took a turn, and now you're 0-4 in conference play. Nobody, even in your worst imaginations of how this season could have gone, would have thought 0-4 was in the cards.
Oh, no question. In today's modern landscape of college football, it is almost impossible to return the amount of talent that they returned this year. You're going into a new league where you view some opportunities there for some teams that are coming in that aren't used to playing up to your level. And all that's gone by the wayside due to a combination of factors, whether it's just been poor performance on the field, play calling, and also injuries.
Felt like the play calling was great offensively out of the bye week in Provo. Casey Dunn did a great job getting the QB run game going. Garrett Rangel looked comfortable. Getting hit a few times obviously helps that when you're a quarterback. And then he gets hurt. Bowman comes in, plays okay, but now you got to find a way to run an offense with a quarterback that had kind of struggled throughout the season already. Yeah,
it's Mike Gundy has talked about a numbers game where they're missing one number with Alan Bowman as their quarterback. Allen might give them the best opportunity to win as a passer, but they just don't have the dynamic they had with Garrett Rangel to run the ball down the field. And you saw things, they were able to play a little bit more quickly in that first half against BYU and also able to get out on the edge. The frustrating thing about that game is how differently it was called from a pre-snap motion perspective. Sure. And this is something that Oklahoma State fans have been frustrated by in years past. It seems like it takes them some time to integrate that into the offensive system, and unfortunately that's what happened again this year, and it looks like it's too little too late.
At least from a creativity standpoint, they got playmakers the ball, right? There have been times this season where it's like, where is Ollie Gordon? You got to find touches. Where is Brennan Presley? You got to find him touches. They have a wealth of talent at the playmaker positions that you've just got to figure out ways to get their hands on the football.
No question. This was the first time that we saw Brennan Presley motion into the backfield. You're giving him a head start. You're giving your athletes an opportunity to get a little bit of an advantage downfield, and hopefully that's something that we see more of this season. Again, it's just unfortunate it took several games to finally see it.
The offense had been disappointing for the most part through the season. They performed really well in Provo. The defense is the one that ends up letting you down there late.
Yeah.
Mike Gundy hit on it when his answer there in his weekly press conference, saying it was just one thing here or there, or we thought they were going to do one thing and they kind of whatever. But that's been a really big disappointment so far. Really, the entire season is that defensive side of the ball.
So I try really hard, from just a fan with a microphone standpoint, to not put myself in the position of saying this is what they need to be doing, or this is wrong, because they just have infinitely more knowledge and experience than we do. And this has been the hardest year to avoid doing that, because you're seeing things on that side of the ball that just don't look right. Playing off 8 yards on 3rd and short situations. You've got big gaps off the ball against quarterbacks that are primarily not going to hurt you down the field. And so I'm still remaining grounded in that aspect, but it's been more difficult this year. It just looks like sometimes they're aligned wrong. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or perhaps asleep. I mean, that game-winning touchdown by BYU, I don't know what was happening, but it just kind of felt like all 11 guys weren't in the same place as the Cougars were when that play was ultimately taking place. So we've got more questions about the defense, Gideon, and we'll get your expertise on the other side of the break as we attempt to move the chains here on the End Zone. Welcome back to the End Zone. It is time for Moving the Chains, as Gideon Hamilton this week will attempt to pick up 10 yards in our blitzkrieg of questions. Gideon, so far this season, we've only had one person not move the chains. He was a defensive player, so we kind of switched the concept to the other way around. So he was successful.
It's a little gimmicky.
But it's a little gimmicky. So once again, we will ask you questions. How good those answers are will determine whether or not you get positive or negative yardage, and you've got to pick up a first down. All right.
Sounds good.
Let's fire out of the gate. Oklahoma's offense has been incredibly disappointing, as has Oklahoma State's defense. The number 128 total offense in the country versus the 130th total defense in the country. If you put those two units on the field together, Gideon, what happens?
I think OU is going to be able to run the football on Oklahoma State. I think the Sooners have some more offensive success because the foundation of everything, as you guys know, on offense is being able to move the ball on the ground. I think that opens up some things, albeit minutely, in the Oklahoma passing game, to where they're able to have some success against Oklahoma State.
Much like OU's offense on first down, we struggled there. So 2-yard gain.
Okay.
It was a fair answer.
That actually, I think, is better than OU's first down average.
Right, honestly, it might be. And there was really no right answer there. But the answer was no to that question.
I don't even know what I would expect, so I was just curious to hear what an answer might look like.
So we'll call it 2nd and 8. Obviously, OU fires Seth Luttrell. So my question to you, does OSU make any significant staff changes following the season?
Oh, I think you definitely have to look at that. I think the result the rest of the way is going to dictate that, and that's something that the fan base has looked at. Remember where we were after week 4 of last season for Oklahoma State, and some of those demands were made, and there was a much rosier picture at the end of the season. So, I think the way that things look right now to literally everybody in the fan base, I think that you have to examine that. Problem for Oklahoma State fans, you really don't know which side of the ball to look at.
Right.
You're really looking at both that have been less than elite this year.
Is that a yes or a no?
There's a lot of fence
maybe.
there.
Are you riding the fence on that?
Look, you have to look at it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it should happen.
Okay. I'm of the opinion something is going to happen. So the fact that you didn't go all in there, I'm going to say incomplete pass.
Oh.
He tried to throw the ball on 2nd and 8, and incomplete pass. So 3rd and long.
Oh, my gosh.
Hey, the good thing is you have 4 downs.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
analytics say we
unless
go
you
for
want
it
to
every
punt it
time.
after 3rd down, and we'll just walk out of here. That's totally your call. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Are the Sooners and the Cowboys both going to a bowl game?
I think Oklahoma State has a better chance at this point than OU. Oklahoma State's going to go to a bowl game just because the Big 12 is so unpredictable. We thought that Texas Tech game was looking a lot more difficult than we did. just a week ago before they ran into a buzzsaw against Baylor. So I think Oklahoma State can cobble together enough wins to get there. With Oklahoma, they're going to need an upset or two.
They got to beat Maine. Hopefully, they can get through Maine, and then they got one. They have to steal one.
Hopefully,
they have to steal one somewhere else. Okay, so let's go for it on fourth down. Let's call it 4th and 3. How about that?
Okay.
So a decent game there.
Right.
I agree with the answer. OU's going to have to steal one somewhere, and OSU, I think, finds a way to get 2 more. Breaking out of the football trend here, you are our Thunder insider.
Yeah.
Since we don't know anything about the Thunder here, apparently. Gideon does. Thunder predictions. Wins, just maybe the seed in the West, maybe how far they advance in the playoffs. You can be as wide spectrum as you want with this.
I think they're going to win mid-50s. I think they're going to win 55 games. I think they're still going to be the #1 seed in the West. I love what they did this offseason. They based the moves that they made off of not being the #1 seed.
Sure.
Okay? So they went
I like
over
that.
and they got possessions, which they need with Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. They went from 24th shooting in the NBA to #1 most of the year. You can't rely on that and their health as much as they did a season ago.
Yeah.
And so I think they improved in a number of different ways. I think they're still the team to beat in the Western Conference. And also because some of the teams around them didn't necessarily improve as much.
Sure. Did we get an answer on what? Are they going to win the NBA Finals?
NBA Finals appearance, NBA
Western
Conference
Finals.
Finals.
They are going to at least get to the Western Conference Finals, if healthy.
Western Conference Finals or bust, then, I think.
Let's go first down, baby. First down. I mean, Western Conference Finals or bust, right? I
makes
think
sense.
that's the minimum for my expectations. So I completely agree. Gideon Hamilton has successfully moved the chains. We wrap things up with this weekend's game picks next on the End Zone. Wrapping up this week's edition of the End Zone, Gideon Hamilton joins us along with TJ Eckert. I am Colby Daniels. All right, let's jump into last week's selections, TJ, because you got the W. Well done.
We did. Thank you very much. It's been a long time coming. George and myself doing a decent job. We made money, right? 3 and 2, you're making money there.
That's right.
So we'll gladly take that.
I've got to hit the reset button and maybe fire my OC. Overall standings, though, I'm still riding the early heat wave that I experienced.
You played really well early. We're a second half team, so we're going to keep chomping
enough.
away. You know, we're not going to get it all back in 1 week. We could here, I guess. Could go 5-0.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Looking forward to it.
All right, let's make game picks. Penn State at Wisconsin. The Nittany Lions are nearly a touchdown favorite.
Yeah, you know, on the road, Camp Randall at night's going to be tough. I think Penn State finds a way to get done, mainly because my dad's from Pennsylvania, so I got to go with the homer pick there.
Emotional spot here for Penn State coming off of that big win, the thriller against USC, and they've got Ohio State next week. I think Penn State can win but not cover, so I'm going to take Wisconsin to keep it close. 11-point game late, Wisconsin tacks on a touchdown, something like that.
Former OU running back Tawi Walker has another big game and keeps Wisconsin at least within 6.5, so give me the points and Wisconsin. All right, game number 2 as we head to the SEC, LSU at A&M, the Aggies 2.5-point favorites.
Kyle Field at night, right? And then it's the night game, I think, on ABC. So that'll be a very fun one in prime time. I think the Aggies find a way to win and cover this one as well.
LSU's escaped too many times this year for my liking. A&M's a little bit more predictable, and at home, I'll take the Aggies.
Give me one more Houdini act for the Tigers, LSU, and the points on the road. All right, staying in the SEC, 2 of Oklahoma's still future opponents, Missouri at Alabama. Crimson Tide giving up nearly 2 touchdowns.
It's a lot of points, but I don't know if I like Mizzou. I think they're kind of a fraud. Might be a little fraud to it. So let's look at the Tide at home.
There is nothing to suggest that Missouri keeps that one close, and that makes you think for a little bit longer about this one. But I think Alabama is too talented. I think they have something to prove after the way that they played a week ago.
A Saban Bama team would win this game by 60. Yeah. We'll see if Kalen DeBoer can do it, but I think he at least covers. All right, Oklahoma State is a giant enigma, as is Baylor somewhat, right? This game in Waco, and the Bears giving the Cowboys almost a touchdown.
Yeah, touchdowns a lot. David Aranda's kind of coaching for his job right now. They're playing desperate. Looked good against Texas Tech. So I'll go ahead and take the Bears at home. I'm not confident in that, but I'm definitely not confident in anything the Cowboys are doing right now.
Going with Baylor momentum, the way that they played against Texas Tech, on the road, coming back home, they'll carry that over this weekend against Oklahoma State's defense.
Baylor has played better recently, but I think watching both teams, it's a Jekyll and Hyde. You have no idea what you're going to get. I guess I just know more about Oklahoma State's deficiencies So it's hard to take the points in this scenario. I'll take Baylor as well. All right, Oklahoma, 3-touchdown underdog at Ole Miss.
It's the biggest underdog I could find, Colby. I can't remember one that was higher than this. Still going to go with Ole Miss. Same thing. I can't trust anything OU's doing right now, so give me the Rebs at home.
If I knew Trey Harris's status, this would be an easier pick, but based on what we've seen from both teams, I like Mississippi to cover.
Until I actually see it with my own eyes, see this OU offense do anything, have a pulse, it's hard to imagine they stay within 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
I think the defense, once again, will play well early, but eventually they wear out. Gideon, thanks for the time, and we'll do the end zone again next week.